I survived a bank robbery only to discover the thief was my own uncle. What followed unraveled a family secret so dangerous, I had to take them all down. It was just supposed to be a normal Wednesday. I had taken a day off from work to run errands and drop off a few forms at the bank. I wasn't even supposed to go to that particular branch, but the one closer to my apartment had a burst pipe and was temporarily closed. So there I was, tired, a little annoyed, and standing in line at the downtown bank, just trying to get things over with. Then the glass doors flew open. At first, I thought it was a prank or some weird viral stunt. But when I saw the guy in the ski mask waving a real gun in the air and shouting for everyone to get on the floor, everything in me froze. The guy barked orders like he'd done this before. He knew exactly where the security cameras were. He didn't panic. He moved like someone who wasn't new to this. I stared at the grainy image on my screen like it would suddenly change if I blinked enough times. I even zoomed in, tilted the phone, and held it next to a photo of Uncle Matt from a recent family barbecue. Same jawline, same hairline. Even the way he held his shoulders, it was uncanny. But no, it couldn't be him. My uncle was the goofy one, the one who brought everyone beers and made awkward dad jokes at Thanksgiving. He was a retired electrician who spent most of his time tinkering with model trains and talking about fishing trips he never took. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling. So I did what any paranoid idiot would do. I drove to his place. When I showed up unannounced, he was surprised, but not in the way I expected. He wasn't nervous or twitchy. He was off, a little too relaxed. His house was spotless. Too spotless. Uncle Matt was the kind of guy who left laundry on the couch and dishes in the sink for days. But everything looked staged. Like he was expecting someone to come by and inspect it. We sat in his living room and made small talk, but I couldn't focus. My eyes kept darting around the room. That's when I noticed a huge duffel bag half-tucked under the couch. I wouldn't have thought much of it, except the zipper was broken, and inside I saw stacks of cash. Uncle Matt caught me looking. He didn't say anything at first, just stared. Then he said, too casually, "You ever have a moment where you realize you don't really know your own family?" I laughed nervously. All the time. He smiled. Yeah, funny thing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. His tone, the bag, the way he looked at me. I told myself I was overthinking. But the next morning, I got a call that shook me to my core. It was from my dad. He was whispering, like he didn't want someone to hear him. He said, "Did you see the news? About the bank? Don't say anything. Just don't go to the cops. Not yet." "What are you talking about?" I asked, playing dumb. There was silence. Then he said something that made my blood go cold. "Your uncle didn't do it alone. He forced the tellers to empty the drawers." Another masked guy ran straight into the back offices. I heard someone crying quietly near me. I was lying face down on the cold marble floor, heart pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. All I could think was, don't die. Just don't die. Then I saw something strange. The taller guy, the one clearly in charge, looked oddly familiar. Not his face, obviously, but his build, the way he moved, even the tone of his voice when he shouted. Something about him was too familiar. After a few minutes, which felt like hours, they took the money and ran. No shots fired, no police yet. Just a bunch of terrified people slowly getting off the ground as alarms finally started ringing. I gave my statement to the police and went home, still shaking. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. 3 days later, I was scrolling through a local news post with a blurry CCTV still of one of the robbers. He was turned just enough that his profile was visible. And I swear to God, it looked exactly like my Uncle Matt. My hand was shaking when I hung up the phone. He didn't do it alone. I stared at the wall for a long time, trying to process what that meant. Was my dad involved? My dad, who always preached about doing the right thing and earning your way? He was the guy who returned a 20 he found on the sidewalk once. The same man who grounded me for lying about skipping class. I tried calling him back, straight to voicemail. So I drove to my parents' house. They weren't there, but their garage door was wide open, and something felt wrong. I stepped inside and saw a tarp on the floor, some empty duffel bags, and, most disturbing, what looked like a burned laptop in a trash can, still warm. I knew I had to get answers. I went back to Uncle Matt's, but he wasn't there either. His truck was gone. I called my cousin Lily, his daughter. She didn't answer, but she texted me a minute later. They're all meeting at the cabin. Don't go. You didn't see anything. The cabin. Of course. It was our family's secret spot. Up north. Middle of nowhere. No cell signal. One road in and out. We used to go there for holidays and fishing trips, but I hadn't been there in years. I didn't even hesitate. I packed a bag, grabbed my keys, and drove all night. When I got there, the place looked abandoned, but there were tire tracks in the mud and smoke rising from the chimney. I parked far down the road and hiked the last mile. I crept through the trees, hiding behind the tall pines until I got close enough to see through the windows. Inside, I saw Uncle Matt, my dad, and someone else I didn't recognize, tall, younger, military posture. He was pacing, clearly agitated. Then my uncle dropped a phrase I'll never forget. The kid saw too much. He was at the bank before it happened, saw my face in the footage, saw the bag. If he talks, this whole thing unravels. I ducked before anyone could spot me. My heart was pounding so loud, I thought they'd hear it. Then I heard the young guy say, "We don't have a choice. If he's not on our side, he's a problem." That's when I realized I wasn't just snooping anymore. I was hunted prey. I backed away slowly, but a twig snapped under my foot. And through the window, my dad turned his head, right toward me. I ran. Branches whipped against my face as I tore through the woods, heart pounding like a war drum. I could hear yelling from behind me, at least two voices. One was my uncle. The other, it might have been my dad, but he sounded different, colder, like something had broken inside him. I made it back to my car, breathless and muddy, and took off down the dirt road as fast as I could without sliding into a tree. I didn't stop until I hit pavement. Only then did I let the fear crash into me. They were really going to kill me. My own family. I drove aimlessly for hours, trying to think. Every memory I had of them felt tainted now. The birthday parties, the camping trips, my dad teaching me to ride a bike. Had it all been fake? Or had they changed somewhere along the way? That night, I slept in my car at a rest stop, door locked, and a tire iron clutched in my lap. The next morning, I went to the one person I could trust, my mom's sister, Aunt Carla. She lived alone, far from the city, and when I told her everything, she didn't even blink. "I always knew your dad and Matt were into something," she said, pouring me coffee like we were talking about the weather. But I never thought it'd go this far. She opened a box from her closet, photos, documents, old letters. Apparently, my grandfather had been involved in some shady dealings back in the 80s. Laundering money for some offshore accounts. Carla suspected he'd pulled Dad and Matt into it when they were teenagers, and it never really stopped. Only evolved. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about the bank. This was family business. Generational crime. And now I had stumbled into the middle of it. Uninvited, unwelcome, and holding secrets they would do anything to bury. The next day, while I was out buying groceries with Carla, I noticed a car tailing us. Silver Dodge Charger. Tinted windows. Every time I turned, it followed. I told Carla, and she didn't hesitate. She grabbed my hand and said, "We're going dark." We ditched our phones, packed bags, and took her old Jeep. She drove us to a tiny cabin she once inherited from a friend in Vermont. Off-grid, no records, no utilities in her name. Just woods and wind. It felt safe for a few days, until I saw the envelope. It was taped to the cabin door when we came back from hiking. There was no name, just one word written in red ink. Decide. Inside the envelope was a photo of me sleeping on the couch. They had found me, and now they were giving me a choice. We didn't sleep that night. Carla kept the fireplace burning, and I sat near it, clutching the envelope like it was radioactive. The word decide echoed in my head. Decide what? Stay quiet? Come home? Or die? I thought about calling the police, but what could I tell them? My uncle robbed a bank, and my dad helped. And now they're sending me creepy photos? Without evidence, it would sound like paranoia, or worse, a delusion. And if my family had infiltrated law enforcement, like Carla suspected, I'd just be exposing myself. Carla brewed some strong tea and sat down across from me. Her face looked different now, hardened like she'd done this before. "They're giving you a choice," she said. "But it's not really a choice. It's a leash. You either play their game, Or they cut you out for good. Maybe permanently. I nodded, my stomach turning. So what do we do? Carla reached into a drawer and pulled out a flash drive. We fight back. You remember that box of documents I showed you? That was just the surface. I've been collecting things over the years. Photos, account numbers, offshore transfers. Your dad and uncle slipped up more than once. And I've got proof. I stare at the flash drive like it was made of fire. Why haven't you turned it in? Because I needed someone to believe me, she said gently. And I couldn't do it alone. Until now. That night, we backed up the data, encrypted it, and uploaded it to multiple cloud services with timed emails ready to auto-send to media outlets and law enforcement in case something happened to either of us. We also printed everything, hundreds of pages, and mailed copies to a P.O. box in my name. If they were going to make me choose, I was going to choose on my terms. But it wasn't over yet. 3 days later, Carla's Jeep was gone. Just gone. No broken glass. No tire tracks. Just vanished. I freaked out, grabbed the emergency phone we kept in a Faraday bag, and called her backup number. No answer. I checked the security cams. Nothing. Not even a shadow. Then I heard it. A knock at the door. I froze. Every instinct in me screamed not to open it. I peeked through the crack in the curtains. It was my uncle. Alone. Unarmed. Wearing a hoodie like he'd just jogged over. He didn't yell or threaten me. He just spoke quietly through the door. You don't have to do this, he said. You're still family. Just walk away. Forget what you saw. We'll make sure you're taken care of. I didn't say a word. I just let him talk. His voice sounded tired, almost sad. Then he leaned closer. Carla didn't walk away. That's why she's gone. And then he left. I called the number again. Still nothing. I didn't sleep that night. I paced, reread every document, rechecked every auto-send email and backup. I waited for dawn like it was my execution date. At 6 a.m., I did it. I clicked send. The drive, the cloud backups, the files to the FBI, the news outlets, a few old contacts of Carla's. Everything went out. Within 12 hours, it was trending. Family crime ring exposed by nephew of robbery suspect. Whistleblower shares evidence of decades-long financial crimes. There were warrants, bank freezes, a photo of my dad being arrested at a gas station. And Carla? She called me 2 days later from a burner phone in Arizona. You did good, kid, she said, her voice cracking. She'd taken the Jeep to draw attention away from me. Hid in the desert while everything unfolded. I cried on that call. We don't live in the same state anymore. I don't use my real name online. I changed my number, grew a beard, even dyed my hair. I see Carla sometimes under different names at quiet diners. But my dad? I haven't seen him since that morning on the security cam, just before the knock at the cabin door. And if I ever do, I don't know if I'll be ready. Hey guys, let me know your opinions in the comments. And of course, subscribe for more.